Am I on? Okay, I got no sound. There we go. Hey, we need. Just to go sit down, I'll tell you. Okay, everybody, I need you to come in, sit down, and be quiet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if there's anybody in the hallway, we need them in here right now. Okay? I'm good, Mindy. Good to see you. Is my sound live streaming? Is my sound streaming? Well, good morning, sir. We're doing good now. It was pretty touch and go for a while. Okay, everybody come in, have a seat. Right here. Right? Because if you're not, and then
In the Great Depression of the 1930s, America was looking for hope, and it came through an unlikely horse named Seabiscuit. In his first 2 years of racing, Seabiscuit lost 35 of his first 40 races. He was too small. His jockey was too big. The owner was a car manufacturer and had never owned a horse, let alone a racehorse. But in 1937, Seabiscuit's third racing year, everything began to change. A miracle began to take shape. Seabiscuit began to win. In fact, he won more money that year than any other racehorse. And he beat the reigning king of horse racing, War Admiral, by 4 lengths. Within 3 more years, he had won more money than any other horse in history to that point. America found its hope in that little horse, who had the heart of a champion. When you do something differently that's never been done before, you have to have hope. And if you're going to make history, you have to have vision. You plow new ground, you climb new mountains, and you weather new storms. It's not easy, but it's worth the time, the sweat, and the tears. That's Provizion Global. And like Seabiscuit, who everyone thought was too small to win, it's working. And it's working well.
Back him off, son. Back him off. Back him off.
George, come on.
Come on, Georgie, don't fool around.
Sure hope you're right, Red. Here we go. Bob. God damn it, Johnny.
Come on, George.
Turn him loose. Turn him loose.
Do it now, George.
So long, Charlie.
Okay. Yep. All right. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, is that great? So, and as soon as they can get that graphic off the screen, I would assume they're supposed to be watching me. Okay, so welcome to the second annual global celebration of Provizion Global. We got a lot to do today, so I'm going to go through some of those things for you really quickly. First of all, the founders, founding pioneers that we showed, those are the people who invested early on, just at the very beginning of this company before we had actually launched. And they said, you know what, I believe in what you've got here, and I want to be a part of it. So that's why we show them. We're going to show them again just when we break for lunch, because we want people to know that these are the people who they stepped up and they saw something that other people didn't see. And they were investing very, very, very early when we just had that one product. So we wanted to make sure that we honored them. Some of the housekeeping today, those of you who are here in the room, live stream, this doesn't apply to you, but those in the room, remember that when it's time for you to be recognized, we need you to come to this side of the stage, and then we'll recognize you and call your name and come across the stage. Also, we've got a lot to do today. We're going to do a lot of recognitions. That's what this whole event is about. It's about you, our IBOs, our independent business owners. And so we want to honor you. Those of you who have you purchased diamond packs, you advanced in ranks, Club 400, all of these different things. And then tonight, we're going to be talking about all the awards. We're going to go into some of the more difficult ranks to achieve. People have done that so far. And we're going to give away our annual awards. So you don't want to miss that. That will kick off tonight at 7 o'clock. We have our awards banquet at 6 in the same room for those of you who are here live. And we just want to honor you all day long and all night long. So that's what this is about. Now, we're also going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about the vision that we have for the company. Rick Nelson's going to talk about what's happened over the last year and some other things. He's got a presentation for you. We're also going to talk about what do we do for marketing? What about the science? You know, and the things that matter from a practical standpoint. We're going to go through all of those this morning. So I want to read something to you right now. And I'm only reading it because I didn't have time to memorize it, which is okay. I learned how to read a long time ago. Thank you for that one laugh, yeah. Okay. I want to share something that ties into Provision and ties it into Seabiscuit, why we showed that clip just then. The heart of a champion is what this is all about. That's you. It's your hearts. Those of you who are in this room, those who are watching on live stream, if you're involved in this company and you want to get that product to people, you want to build a business, it takes the heart of a champion to do that. And like Seabiscuit's jockey, you need wisdom to know when to run out ahead, when to hold back a little bit and be patient, but then when to take off and sprint. And that's what we've been doing with the company. We've been very circumspect about how we operate the company. Some people would say, hey, you're going too slow. Some people say you're going too fast. And we think we're doing it pretty much just right. So all of that's in play. You have to know when to make your final surge. And we believe that's where we are right now. And if you can do that, the masses, as you saw on that clip, all those people running toward the horses, they're all cheering at the end. That's what will happen in your business. That's what will happen for the company. If you can do that, that's what a heart of a champion has to create in other people. Provizion Global is global already. You're going to see that today if you don't already know that. And it's all because there were two friends who got together about 3 years ago, and they decided that they were going to start a very, very unique company. And as you heard, when you're going to do something different, you have to have a lot of heart and you have to have a lot of vision. And then you have to have the ability to inspire other people to follow you and come with you. And that's what's happening. This room is filled with such people. People watching on live stream around the world right now are people who have looked at the vision because of these two men. One is George Reninger. He'll be with us later this morning. And the other is Rick Nelson. And I want to introduce him right now. A lot of people don't know Rick, but it was actually his brainchild when he came to George and said, I want to start this company and I want you to help me. And George said yes, he caught the vision. So would you welcome, please, Mr. Rick Nelson.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, fantastic. It's wonderful to be here with you. And if we can roll the slides, that would be great. I want to tell you a story, and I want to give you some background on what Bill just shared. So if we can get this first slide here. this concept for making this company happen started more than 15 years ago for me. I do back-to-back 5-year plans. And I was actually inspired by Dr. Bill Greenman to share this because it's not an easy thing realizing your dreams. In fact, it makes me think about President Lincoln. There's a little infographic out there that says, you know, it's got a picture of President Lincoln, you know, failed, and okay, it's what happens. It's what happens when you have something deep in your heart and deep in your soul. And we saw that with Dr. Reg last night. That man's life work, you can see anytime anyone has that inside of them, you can see it, you gravitate toward it. But this goal for me started back in 2005, actually further back than that when I was working with Joe Wood in South Korea. But I formalized those goals and I started working in 5-year increments. And you know where that path took me? I not only helped a US multinational, a US company go all the way, turn it into a multi-billion-dollar operation around the world, but then here's what changed. I got to go and work with the innovators and the first company over in South Korea that invented network marketing there. And we attempted to help them rehab their company and restage and do some things. They actually had some allo technologies, very interesting story, Dr. Reg. But I got to work with them to open a major Asia Pacific market. And then the next step was to work with the innovation team that put network marketing on the planet for the Chinese. It was a Chinese billionaire named Chairman Li Jinyuan. And you can't believe what that man accomplished in this space and what he pioneered. Everything he did was almost the polar opposite of what I did in that multi-billion-dollar blueprint. He said one day, he said, Rick, why would I go to all the places, Amway, Nu Skin, Herbalife are going? I just, I don't want to compete with them. I'm going to go where they don't go. Well, guess where he went with his heart? He was doing $5 million a month in Kazakhstan. He had Iran and Iraq in his country opening plans, and he was already in 190 countries. Can you imagine? And we worked with him to help him get a presence here in the United States. But I learned a lot because that was a billion-dollar company, but done in a very, very different way. So we had the blueprint that we put together for a U.S. multinational, and I was able to compare that with a Chinese multinational, and I'm telling you, what an education. But I knew that all of that background, and many of those initiatives were not super successful. These international companies doing network marketing professionally is not easy. Many of you have been in companies that have not been able to go all the way. Some have gone all the way, thankfully. I love it when companies succeed in this industry because there's 8 billion people in the world, right? There's a lot of people that need economic opportunity and they need great nutrition. So that I was able to compare several billion-dollar blueprints. I've seen the evolution of global infrastructure. And then over that same time period, I was able to cultivate relationships that I didn't even know that I would need in order to pull this off. We did not have in our master plan for George and I, we were originally going to stage this out in Salt Lake. In fact, George hopped in his car and basically moved to Salt Lake temporarily to get this started with me. But ultimately, we decided to partner with Joe Wood and others here in Texas. And it was the best decision we ever made. And Joe Wood, as many of you know, Joe Wood and I go way, way, way back to early days, 1983 in South Korea. Can you imagine? Now, I had not met him. He had not met me, but we ran in similar circles doing a church service mission at the time. And then here we are all these years later in that type of trust relationship, I mean, those are relationships you cultivate over a lifetime. And so I wanted you to understand that this just didn't happen overnight. You know, a lot of times people see people having great success out there in the world and they think it was an overnight success. And everybody in this room can tell you that that's not how it works, right? There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of successes along the way, failures along the way to get you where you want to go. But I am so grateful for George Reninger for saying yes, because George was the catalyst. I had the corporate side covered, but I needed someone who was a proven field leader who had earned millions of dollars in the industry and who knew how to help the company partner correctly with its field leaders. And that's really monumentally important. In fact, any successful company that you've seen out there, that is part of the calculus. That's how they have success. It's not by ignoring the field leaders. It's getting the company and the field leaders in perfect balance and in perfect alignment. Who here has been out in their car when you've got an issue with tire alignment? Car pulls to the left or pulls to the right? What happens if you don't get that problem taken care of? Terrible things, right? It can destroy the tires, but when that vehicle is in alignment, you can do amazing things. And many of you have traveled from very far away to be here. But I can tell you, over the years, it used to cost between $15 and $20 million to turn up an international market, because it was pre-internet. You didn't have web-based applications. You didn't have the tools that now we all take for granted. But let's go to the next slide, please. What we have in Provizion is a next generation. This is that, go back one. This is that beautiful Boeing jet, the 787, that is the latest and greatest. That's what you have in Provizion Global. I want you to leave this conference, this celebration, with the absolute certainty that you're in a vehicle that is this advanced, that is just amazing, the engineering and everything. And those that have not been to our physical facilities, when you see them today, it'll open up your eyes and you will see what I'm talking about. Next slide, please. And as I said, the most important thing in my world is the partnership with the field, because all of our internal teams, all of them, they want to work on things that matter. I heard Elon Musk say recently that the worst thing you can do to an engineer is make him or her optimize something that should not exist. That level of professional, you've got to give them meaningful things to do. And part of my job as CEO of the company is to show all of our stakeholders behind the scenes how their efforts are mapping into your success. And so that's something that I do. And the intelligent direction that George receives on the leadership calls, that's vital also. And that's part of helping get the company and the field in alignment so that we can work together. And I can tell you, and it's kind of a funny saying, but everything is easy if you know how, right? Everything is easy if you know how. And when you see professionals at work, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of people inside of the company behind the scenes that have got brain power that just, I stand in awe of them every day. Joe Wood leads such a team. All of our infrastructure partners, I mean, these people are amazing. They make unbelievably difficult, complex things like compressing an organization of a company like ours and generating commissions each week, just seamless and very, very straightforward. It's unbelievable. And I'm going to introduce you and talk about other aspects of the team. Next slide, please. We have professional leadership support, and customer support is on the next slide. But let me just, huge props. Josiah, can you stand up?
Thank you.
Josiah English is the tip of the spear for you and your teams. And I'll tell you why. Because thank you, Josiah, supportedprovision.com is integrated into a system that controls everything inside the company. And Josiah is the one, like a surgeon who triages the issues, looks at what's critical, what's less critical, and then he farms those out. And anytime you put anything in a ticket, he sees it. I, of course, have access to it, but he's the tip of the spear, triages the issues, and then goes to all of the different professionals inside of the company to deal with whatever the question is. And a lot of what he does too is just helping people understand how to use our program, because a lot of the technologies are new for everyone. Next slide, please. So we have leadership support, customer support, the same thing, a 24-hour service level. We endeavor to be able to get back to you. You offload an issue to us, and we work to get a 24-hour business hour turnaround. And I know it's very, very different. One of the big companies that I did some consulting for before we started, actually before the pandemic really kind of went crazy, they had 1,500 people in their call center. Can you imagine? 1,500 people. Now, post-pandemic, that same company has changed, and they're operating a lot like we are, okay? They have 300 agents that are off-site, 300 agents that are on-site, but they don't have a 1,500 staffed call center anymore. Our method is so much more efficient, and these professionals at that company, they're watching companies like ours that are doing things differently and doing things in a way. The bottom line is to provide better, faster service to you with 100% accountability. Does that sound like a good formula? Yes. Because what we want, think of it this way, that each of our IBO partners are race car drivers, right? We want you in those cars able to run as fast down that track as you possibly can. When you have an issue with your vehicle, you offload that to us and keep driving and keep moving ahead. And then we have a return and report function. And we come back to you and we say, okay, this is where we are. Your issue is resolved, or we're going to need a little more time. And then there's some tricky ones that Josiah and I will talk about. We look for creative solutions. Whatever the issue is, we try to give you a great service level. Next slide, Josiah. And then, as I mentioned, we've got professionals on the business platform. What's totally runs everything, including the core asset of the company, which is the global provision tree. Those relationships, the way commissions are generated, the way orders are tracked, the way orders are executed, and then tracking numbers go seamlessly into your back office. All of that is controlled by our platform, and they've got data security capabilities over multiple data centers. It's commission processing for all markets, and then the main thing is to basically safeguard that global tree, because those relationships are very important. One thing I learned from the Chinese, they didn't understand that in professional services network marketing that I sponsor Dr. Reg sponsors Joe, Joe sponsors Alan, and so forth. They basically did a fixed retail model, and most of the developed countries that they went to, they failed miserably because there is a better way, and Provizion Global represents that better way, and that's one of the initiatives that we tried to help them with. But it's hard for them to kind of catch that vision that I can sponsor Patty, and Patty can sponsor Bill, and Bill can sponsor Debbie. That was understood, but not just on paper, right? And so they had to do a lot of things that we don't have to do, and it's all because of our business platform. Next slide, Josiah. And then we have what you see, our front-end website, provision.com, and the dashboard, and I'm very happy to announce today, many in the international community may not have heard this, but we're in the process of updating our front-end website and also the back office that you see, the tree and all of the tools. We have an active project underway, and it will really help us service the international community better. But this is my goal. This is my goal, to make that experience seamless for everyone. Meaning, if you're in market A and you're in market B and you're in market C, that the experience that you have is identical. So if I'm sponsoring someone over in market X over here, the experience that they have with the company is identical. You have to learn the system once. Now, it didn't used to be that way, but in Provizion Global, that just makes it so much easier, because you know, you want to have a seamless experience. Doing the business is hard enough, and we understand that. So we're working to simplify that experience. And then we have teamprovision.com, which is the team resources and recognition site. There are incredible tools on that, and let's give Dr. Bill Greenman a huge hand on that one. All of his orientation materials and just his fingerprints are all over that site. So that is a leader-led resource website for you and all your teams. And guess what? It doesn't cost, right? We're not out selling resources. That is a no-cost resource site, and the recognition on it is wonderful. Next slide, please, Josiah. I remember in the first company that I helped build, back when they were founded back in the 80s, you know how they did their monthly commissions, not weekly commissions, monthly commissions? All over the floor, they had 4x6 cards. And they lined up all the organizations, and they figured out with all the orders coming in, and then they had to basically manually calculate everyone's commissions. Can you imagine? Can you imagine trying to do that on a consolidated global scale? Oh my gosh. By the time that we took that company to the international market, we had computer systems that did all of that tracking. But I'm telling you, the industry has changed, and the way that ours operates is the second an order goes in, it shows you estimated commissions for the period. That is like, you know, that was unheard of just even a few short years ago. And you know what? It's going to get better and better. But it's real-time dashboard tracking of all qualification requirements, which is great, which is why Dr. Bill Greenman always says on the Wake Up Provision broadcast, you know, check with yourself, check with your team members, look at the dashboard, see where you are, you know, how close you are to the next rank. It just puts you in control. It's your command and control center over your business. Next slide, please. And then we've got business building tools that are built into the platform. These may be modified with the upgrade, but we're going to be adding additional tools as well. So you get your customized address, provision.com / whatever name you use. So that's the primary one, but then we also have custom links and custom placement preferences as well. And then, of course, the orientation videos on how to use this, guess what, are all on teamprovision.com. You've got a resource there to look and many other resources on how to use these business building tools. Josiah, next slide, please. I've heard the compliance department called in some other companies, you know what they call it? And Dr. Reg will appreciate this. The sales prevention department. Okay, and I know that's kind of funny, but I'll tell you, with one of my previous companies, we had an 8th floor of lawyers, and some of our top leaders unaffectionately called them the sales prevention department. But I can tell you at Provizion Global, our compliance team, they're amazing, and they are sales promotion. It's their job to make sure that all of our materials are compliant. and that they safeguard your business. And it's the same with our legal department. Next slide, please. The legal department is the same, and they're actually helping us now with our international expansion. We've just recently, and I'm very pleased to announce, recently signed a licensee for Nigeria. How about a hand for that for our legal department? And that licensee is going to be working with us and helping us. In fact, we've already sent a lot of product over there, and we're working to improve shipping times for sample packs going into that market as we do the setup. But our legal department, boy, I'm telling you, these guys are pros, and they are not sales prevention. So just keep that in mind. And and it's easy to kind of think that way because you want to put your best foot forward when it comes to claims. But if I've learned anything from Dr. Reg here, is the truth is good enough. The truth is good enough. And if we just represent what these compounds do, in fact, the one thing that I did learn from Dr. Reg last night is that we may not fully comprehend just what we have in these products. I mean, I'm telling you, every time I hear him speak, I learn new things. I get new perspectives. These compounds are so extraordinary, and our legal department understands we're not like a normal company, okay? We've got substantive products that have unbelievable, verifiable science behind the individual ingredients. And man, I'm telling you, they're behind us all the way. They're making sure that all of our materials are compliant. And then if there's an issue or a task, like we had someone sell their position, it goes to the compliance committee, and they just cross all the T's and dot the I's based on our policies and procedures. And it's working very, very well. As a relatively new company, it's amazing to have this kind of continuity with a compliance committee and a compliance department and a legal department. Next slide, please. And then this is really my favorite. This is where the magic happens. And we're going to have a special announcement later this morning, as you know, around a new product and have samples here. But I'll tell you, our R&D and manufacturing facility, it's been vetted by the best minds inside of Provizion. And Joe Wood and his team, they are professionals. And their standards are very, very high. And we are so excited to be partnered with them because the one thing that I learned from Steve Jobs as he started to build Apple, he said, the market is always right. And if you make a mistake, the market will tell you right away. We've sold millions of dollars of these products already. Okay? That is a very, very good validation. And then as we talked about, Bill actually shared this, the return rate is unheard of. It's nearly non-existent. And then the thing that is the lifeblood of our company is our merchant account that clears all the credit cards. Credit cards are important, are they not? Well, guess what? Our chargebacks, and that's something that we contend with as a business, our chargebacks are basically non-existent. And a chargeback is basically someone saying, you sold me and you didn't deliver. Okay? So sometimes they will go, for the nuclear option and do a chargeback. And sometimes they'll try, now this is not in our business, but they'll try to keep the product and get the money back because they think, oh, well, they just won't even ask for the product back. So they'll try to unjustly enrich themselves. We don't, thanks to you as our IBO partners, we don't have those issues. You know how wonderful and amazing that is? How about a big hand for everyone in this room that contributed to that? And something else, too, that's really important to know. Those merchant accounts, for whatever reason, it's always good to be prepared. Anybody heard the Scout motto, be prepared? We have a backup to our merchant account and a backup to that backup. That's how important you are, okay? So we are covered at all times, because sometimes, like with the failure of the Silicon Valley Bank, all of a sudden the banks, they get really skittish, and you just, you never know exactly what they're going to do. And so even though we've got a great track record, because of you, we have a great track record. We still are ultra prepared on that front, and that's to protect your business. Next slide, please. And then today, not only will you see, for those traveling over there, we'll see the R&D center, then you'll also see the logistics and shipping. And we've got best-in-class shipping options domestically and internationally, and they're just going to get better. And we're very proud. In fact, that's one of the things that I do every single morning as part of an administration check, even after a super busy weekend. Like it was the end of the commission period or whatever, I'll go in there, and man, the logistics team is just getting product shipped out, and we're watching inventory levels and just making sure that everything is in place so that each of you can focus on building your businesses. Next slide, please. Okay, can you back up one?
There you go.
Okay, and I'll just touch briefly on this, because I believe that there may be another segment for this. But when it comes to international, we want to make sure that we partner with each of you in the right way. But you need to know, and I think many of you do know, that the most important market in the world is right here at home. It's what's happening in your own backyard. Not to say that these international, not for resale markets and sample markets are unimportant, but just think of it as the size and strength of our army here in the United States will complement what we're doing in the not for resale markets and in the sample markets. It all works together, and we will never get ahead of you or get ahead of our leaders in that effort, because it's really, really important that we partner correctly with you, because it's not a matter of writing a check and opening a market. That's not it at all. It's the size and strength of our Provizion Army that makes an international strategy operable. And if you do it any other way, it ends badly. And in fact, one of the companies, when I met Dr. Bill Greenman and George and many others that are here and on the broadcast, one of the first multinationals that I built after I left my first company, we were doing about one market per year, a full service market, okay, with product registration, on the ground, everything. And there was another company in the Valley that said that they were going to launch 35 countries, full service markets in 1 year, okay? And I remember the owner of that company came in and kind of grabbed me by the lapels and go, well, Rick, what's the deal? You're doing one and they're doing 35. What's wrong with this equation? And I told him, I said, look, anyone that thinks that you can do that is completely deceiving themselves. And all they're going to do is create turmoil for the field leader partners and give people a terrible, terrible experience with the business. And everything that I told him on that day, and I tried to be respectful as possible, but everything was validated within 2 years. And our current CFO happened to have been called in to clean up that company after the fact. Can you imagine? Richard Holt, our CFO, was called in to help clean up that company. He had to do dozens and dozens of countries, go in and do cleanup and close markets, cleanup and close markets, because it just doesn't work that way. Again, it's a partnership with the field, and it's the size and strength of our army in our home market that really makes an international expansion strategy possible. So I can tell you, I am just pleased and honored to be working with you. George and I have these titles, but really what our title is support, business support for our field leader business partners. That's our job. And we will endeavor to do our very, very best on that. Next slide, Josiah, if you would. I just thank you for being here.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so I want to take a moment here. If you're in the very first recognition, if you could move to the side of the stage here now. While you're doing that, I want to take a moment and just share something maybe you didn't hear last night if you weren't at that meeting, that one of the unique things about this company is who our president is. Our president, George Reninger, has been a top distributor, top earner in 3 separate companies. That's one thing to do it in one company. He's done it in 3 companies. His heart is about the field. His heart is about how can we best take care of the field. Now, Rick is he's the administrative side. And I'm so glad that he is. He's amazing. But we also have George. Now, I've been in network marketing for over 40 years. I have never seen a company that is run by someone who has been a top distributor in multiple companies before. Internationally, globally successful, amazing. So I just want you to know that's an amazing part of who Provizion is. So at this time, we want to recognize these are the people who have bought diamond packs. Now, a diamond pack is a way to jumpstart your business. It gives you product. It also, if you've got people in your organization that are getting those, it can jumpstart your business. So we want to recognize those now. And as they come across the stage, Rick, why don't you stand over here with me, and then we'll shake their hands. So first, it's Dr. Reg and Candace McDaniel. Yeah. All right, Reg.
Great job, Dr. Reg.
All right. Boomy, Java.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that what I said? Thank you, Boomy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, wait till I call your name before you come walking across so people know who you are. Back up, back up, back up. So this is Rhonda Henderson.
All right, Rhonda. Thank you.
Beth Boyles.
Hey, Beth.
You can walk a little slower. Okay, Deborah Bond. AJ Saperstein.
Good job, AJ.
Lynn Shreve. That's okay, we're close. Yes, Steve and Patsy Dillard. Donna Dyke.
Good job, Donna.
Yeah. Pat Penrod.
All right, Pat. Yay.
Yeah. Jennifer Robbins.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah. Mike Wilson.
Mike. Good job, Mike.
Mei-Ling Watson. And her beautiful daughter.
All right. Good job, Mei-Ling.
Yeah.
All right.
Denise Coons.
Denise. Good job, Denise.
Tony and Linda Geraci. Coach.
Hey, Linda. Good to see you. Coach Tony.
Good to see you, man.
Be careful.
Thank you.
Stepping off there.
Tracy Baggett. Okay. Had not met Tracy before.
Hi, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy.
Good job,
All
Tracy.
right. Yeah. All right, Joe Woolsey.
Yay!
All right, Joe. And Denise Rowe.
Denise. Yay!
Thank you. Okay, great. That's a lot of folks. That's great, though. That's what this is about. Like I said, this is all about you today. It's about recognizing you. We're so thankful. Thank you for everybody who's a part of that. It just helps the company so much when people believe and are able to invest like that. Okay, at this time, we want to talk about international expansion. Rick touched on it, but now we're going to look at it a little bit deeper. So, Rick, why don't you come back up? And those of you who are going to be in the next recognition, you can come over to the side here. So international expansion. One of the things about international expansion is that you have to do it correctly. So we could have the slide of that, there we go. You have to do this correctly, as Rick was just talking about. Because if you do it too quickly, you put ridiculous pressure on everybody involved. And it's one of the reasons we're not doing it so quickly. Now, you'll see up here, you can see where we have sample markets, where we can only send samples. People can buy one sample at a time. We have NFR markets, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. The reason NFR just means not for resale. And that's until you have boots on the ground, you can't really have anything but an NFR. You have to have a warehouse, you have to have staff and all of that. And that's just country specific. Some are a little bit more rigid than others. But Rick, can you
Bill,
talk to it?
Can you still hear me okay? Yeah, the interesting thing about the world, a lot of people will say, well, Rick, this is an Amazon world, right? Why can't we just send commissions everywhere and send product everywhere? And in our business, it doesn't work that way. They have a thing called permanent establishment and rules and regulations that if you're going to be a business in a given country and you're doing network marketing, there is a regulatory framework in the country, and it's different everywhere we go. Some markets have very sophisticated regulatory environments. Some markets do not. And I can tell you that I am a fan of a very strong regulatory environment, because the absence of that framework, as Bill said, it ends up just damaging field leaders, damaging the brand loyalty of the product. It really does. If you do it incorrectly or you do it illegally, that's a problem. And there are some markets that even require an MLM license. And so, we want to be good corporate citizens, and we want to do everything by the book. And when it comes to what you saw on the screen there, these not for resale markets, they allow up to a certain level of product to be purchased by the individual. But there are other markets that don't permit that at all. Or even sample packs. There are markets that don't even permit samples to come through. So we're just being very, very deliberate. And again, it's your name and your reputation and the company's good name and reputation that we want to safeguard. Because we're thinking about this not a 2 to 3 year plan, okay? We're thinking decades. That's the difference.
Right, so we want you all to be very aware about this. If you have contacts in any of these nations, please feel free to contact them, but be aware of, are they a sample market? Are they an NFR market? The USA is the only full service.
That's right.
So, and understand this about the United States. I've been in network marketing for, as I said, over 40 years. I still get checks from companies that I worked with 35 years ago. Okay, now, the reason I say that is I run into people all the time. Remember, I said 35-year companies are 35 years old. I run into people all the time who have never heard of that company in America. So don't be afraid to talk to everybody, especially right now, nobody knows about this company. Right? So be free to talk to everyone, especially in America. You do not have to reach out to these other nations if you don't have contacts, and don't feel bad. There are 385 million people in this nation. And so you probably can find a few. All right. Thank you, Rick. That was great. Okay. They should be doing team building. Team building.
At Provizion Global, we put the main emphasis on our IBOs. You are the ones that make this corporation prosper and succeed, and we honor you. Reaching a new rank is a big accomplishment, and we don't take it lightly. So we want to honor those attending who have advanced in rank this past year. At this time, we want to recognize those who have attained the rank of team builder. A team builder must, in any business week, have at least one IBO personally sponsored on their left binary team and on their right team, each with 50 PV or personal volume, and have accumulated at least $200 in volume in their pay team. This is the first rank reached in our business model and comes with a $25 bonus. Our team builders are...
I want to welcome them at this time. Again, Bunmi Ajibade and her husband, and please forgive me, I could not remember your name. Tell me your name.
Congratulations.
Misha, yeah, okay.
Misha.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. AJ Saperstein. All right, great job, man. Great job. Mike Wilson. Good job, Mike. Great work, Mike. Great work. Pat Penrod.
Hey, Pat.
Woo-hoo! Great job, Pat. Great job. Patty, okay. And Valerie Horn.
Good job, Valerie.
Great job, Valerie. Good job. Yeah, you bet. Joe McCray.
All right, Joe. Good job.
Hey, Joe. Great job. And Lynn Street.
Hey, Lynn.
Bless you. That's great. That's one of my favorite parts of doing something like this. It's just so much fun to recognize people. Okay, we want to talk about the marketing strategy. Marketing is, let me say this. Having a website is not marketing. Okay? That's not marketing. Sending product to somebody who doesn't even know it's coming is not marketing. Okay? There are specific tools that you can use to market. To market, you have to have some marketing going on to get someone to a website, to understand what the product is about, to understand what the business is about, right? That you actually have something to offer them. So marketing is very, very key. So if we can have the first slide here about the marketing. There we go. So we do have a micro business plan. That is part of the marketing. You can sit down with someone and go through that plan, and they will have a great understanding. You're selling them something. If you equate marketing with getting someone to take a look, that's what marketing is all about. So you sit down, go with someone through the business plan. The global tour page, if you've not been to that link is on the teamprovision.com, and you can see it says video tour, and they can go through that. And it just gives you, it's not a place where you're, again, trying to sell somebody, but they're giving all the information. Okay, it's just a marketing tool. You send somebody there, you talk to them already, you've done some marketing. This is where they can go and get that information. It's all videos, there's downloads. That's a marketing tool. The product calls with Joe Woolsey. Every Monday night, we have a call with Joe Woolsey, and I don't think you've missed one, right? In like a year and a half or whatever, 2 years. It's amazing. So on that call, Joe goes over some of the product ingredients and does a deep dive into all of that. That's a marketing tool. You're talking to someone saying, you need to have a good understanding of what this product does. Let's get on this call together. You hear what I said? Get on the call together, right? So then we also have the Wake Up with Provision. These are daily Zooms. Every morning, Central Time US at 10 a.m., something happens that does not happen in any other network marketing company in the world and never has happened. Our two principals, which is our president and our CEO, get on that call every morning, and they talk with the field, and they teach, and they express what's going on. What you just heard Rick Nelson do a few minutes ago, many of us have heard over the morning calls over the last year. There's never been a company where anybody from the company, the corporate, gets on a call every day, 5 days a week. They might get on once or twice a year. This is very, very unique in the industry, very powerful. And then our personal websites, as Rick was talking about before, you can generate links. Those can be marketing tools. Again, marketing is getting someone to take a look. Next slide, please. Okay, these are things that this is coming. Powerline, that's going to be a very, very powerful tool. Powerline, we've been watching other companies who are using this, and they're putting in hundreds of people a month just with that tool alone. And you'll be getting more information about that. Video testimonies, there are video testimonies. You'll see some later this morning and some tonight a little bit. And video testimonies are great because, again, it's a marketing tool. People are seeing how does it work for someone. And then they go, oh, well, if it could work for them, maybe it'll work for me. So again, you're getting them to take a look at Provizion by seeing someone else's testimony. Social media training. This is you're getting on chats, having maybe your Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, things like that, where you are expressing a marketing tool, some of these other tools, and you're getting on telling your testimony, or you're interviewing someone, or you're making statements about, hey, this is amazing company product, you need to take a look at it. It's just, that's what social media is one of the most powerful tools. You know, during the pandemic, how many of you got online before and you never had been online? You got online during the pandemic and you never did before. That would be nobody in the room. Okay, thank you. All right, so you were all, and I forget I'm talking to leaders here who have already been doing it. So the wonderful thing that happened in the pandemic is that people who had never heard the word Zoom, they didn't know how to they didn't know what YouTube was. Everybody gets online. And now we have an international, global community in many, many different areas, of course, not just Provizion, because the pandemic drove people to a place where they could do what? Relate to people, where they could have relationship. And I'm telling you guys, that is one of the most important things of what we do. It is about relationships. That's why we're taking the time to recognize you all again and again and again today. Unlimited referrals and training. We're going to talk about that tomorrow morning when we talk about the legacy training and how to build a legacy business. I'm not sure I'm going to have a lot of time, but I'm going to do a very deep dive with that coming up very soon, where we're going to talk about how many of you have alienated a friend or a family member by coming to them again with another idea of network marketing? Anybody? I have both my hands up. Okay. But the point is, you came to them to bring them something they needed, right? Something you believed in. And, you know, there's a great scripture out of the Bible that says a prophet's not welcome in his own home. It's more like, I'm kicking you out. You know, it's not just you're not welcome. It's that they don't want to hear it from you because it's hard for them to believe you. That's why you have these other marketing tools. But unlimited referrals, how would you like to be able to get unlimited referrals from all of your family members and friends that you bugged forever, and they're going to give it to you joyfully? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. That's what we're going to teach you how to do. And then product flyers with ingredient information, you already have those. Again, that's just a marketing tool you're giving to someone saying, hey, take a serious look at this. All of those different flyers that we have about the energy product that you can download off of provizion.com. If you haven't seen those, please go and see those and see how you can download those and use those. You know, we put some of those into your registration packs, a couple of those, so you could see them, so you could say, hey, okay, this is something I can use, because it gives great information. Okay, let's see, what do we got coming up next year? Okay, we need whoever's being recognized in the next level, if you could come over to the side here, that would be great. Again, the marketing comes down to us saying we want to relate to somebody. We want to have a relationship with someone. I want to share something that's important with somebody. So we're really striving to give you as many tools as possible. And if you have ideas, please share them with us. This goes out to the international community as well. If you have ideas about how to increase marketing, we definitely want to do that. Okay, now we got our next recognition.
Next, we want to recognize those who've attained the rank of Area Team Builder. An Area Team Builder must, in any given business week, sponsor at least one IBO on their left binary team and one on their right team, and have accumulated at least $1,500 in volume on their pay team and $2,000 in volume on their sponsor team. This is the second rank reached in our business model and comes with a $50 bonus. Our Area Team Builders are...
Well, we have some that were unable to be here, so we have just Jennifer Robbins. Congratulations. You know, I always say at events like this, you know, when you start out and everybody says, I'm coming, you need 2 or 3 big buses. And when it's time, you can use a couple bicycles and get them here, right? So, because life happens, right? Life happens to us, and sometimes we just can't do everything we want to do. Okay, so I want to talk to you next about orientation. We got the orientation slide there, or graphic. What is orientation? How many of you in the room here have watched all 3 videos for orientation? Let me do it different. Who has not watched all 3 videos for orientation? Okay. On teamprovision.com, we created 3 videos that teach you how to get someone oriented to the business. That does not mean you're just showing them how to use their website. It's very, very different. The whole idea of orientation is to find out, what does that person want? What is that person, not what you want, not about how you want to build your business. It's what do they want? For that to happen, you have to find out what their dream is. What's the dream in their heart? Why would they want to do this business? Now, some people, I just want to get healthy. I get that. That's wonderful. We want that. I just want to make a little bit of money. But some people, most people, they have a dream in their heart that has never been fulfilled, that they're working for. They really want to see it happen, but they've not been able to accumulate the finances or create the cash flow. The whole idea with orientation is, I'm going to find out what your dream is. We're going to write that down together in some detail. Then figure out how much money is it going to take to actually make that happen. How many of you have ever done that? How many of you sat down and you've actually calculated how much it's going to cost you or cost to make your dream come true? How many? Big hand. Okay, thank you, both of you. Okay, really, I'm saying that because the vast majority of people, they have a dream, it's never attained because they never do that. They don't know what it takes. They don't write down the details. They don't write down, this is how much it's going to take me to do that. This is what you do with orientation, with provision. You take the time to ask them, what is your dream? Then you say, okay, to attain that, we need to do what? We need to do this first, second, third, fourth. This is going to cost this. This is going to cost this. This is going to cost this. You write that down. Then when you have the final bottom line, you know exactly how much it's going to cost. You go, well, can you really know exactly? You can get a good ballpark, that's for sure. And you know what? I tell people say, well, I'd love to have somebody give me $1 million. Any of you ever said that? I always ask, great, what's your plan? What are you going to do with it? How many people have ever read the stories or heard the stories of people who win the lottery? They win millions and they're bankrupt and sometimes in prison after that. Because they have no plan. They have no idea what to do with it. And I have people a lot who will say, if I had a lot of money, I'd do this. Really? Show me your plan. Because I'm telling you, I wouldn't give you a penny if you didn't have a plan. Because I want to know that if I'm investing in you, that you're going to do exactly what you say you want to do with it. So that's why you take the time. Listen, this is tedious. This is not you sit down in an hour. The whole idea of orientation, it's a 2 to 3 day deal. 2 to 3 days. You're sitting down with that person as much time as you can get, and you're getting detailed with them. Now, why would you want to do that? Because that person doesn't have anyone else in their life doing that for them. How do you know? Because they don't have a plan. If you're that person, who do you become to them? Their leader and their most important person. Because they know, okay, this person cares about me. This person wants to see me succeed. I'm not walking away from this person. Now, once you've got that plan in front of you, and they can see it, and it's written down, it's typed up, you both have a copy, then you take out the calculations, and calculating this is not difficult. Okay? So what you want to do is you say, okay, it's going to take this much, right? It's going to cost this much. So how many people, listen, how many people will it take buying how much product for how long to make this much money? We say that again. How many people buying how much product for how long will give me that income? This is why I said last night at the presentation, the math always works. The people rarely do. So you have to help them. It's just helping them. That's what we're in the business. We're in the servant business. I hope you get that as a network marketer. We're here to serve people. And if you serve people, guess what happens to you? You get served. All right? So now that you've got that in front of you, okay, this is the plan. And listen, we've got 3 different plans, right? We talked about it last night. You've got the affiliate plan, you got the team builder plan, and we got legacy. And you can use all of those or one of those. You can get to anywhere with affiliate. Just takes more affiliates, right? You can get there with just being a team builder. But when you jump into legacy, everything goes at light speed. It jumps up, which we'll talk about tomorrow morning. So it is this simple, guys. People make this so complicated. They want us to understand every single thing about the comp plan. Nobody cares. I don't care about the comp plan. You know what I care about? Finding 4 people who will find 4 people. That's what I care about. Who will take the product and never stop. And so I'm going to sit down with them, and I'm going to make that plan and make sure that we're working on it together. I don't have to go sign up 1,000 people. I don't need to sign up 4 people who are really, really committed. And you find that out when you find out what their dream is. You create, this is how much money it's going to cost, and then you create the plan to get there. Does that make sense to everybody? That's orientation. So if you have not watched those 3 videos, that's what those videos are about. But it takes a commitment on your part as the IBO, as the person who signed them up. It takes commitment on your part to say, I'm going to do that with the people I sign up. In the past, network marketing has been famous for how many people can I sign up as fast as I possibly can and see who sticks. That's a really lousy way to do business. But if I sit down with one, and listen, a friend of ours named Jerry, he was in Amway for decades. And he said, I would have to go through 50 people to find one who would even let me make a presentation to them. And when I signed somebody up, I would sit down and I'd open up that big folder and we'd go through it 1 page at a time. If I could get somebody through the whole folder, they were with me for life. Literally. And he was a multi-millionaire in Amway. Absolutely wonderful human being. He cared about the people. Okay, so if he can do it with Amway, which is, mother of all network marketing, but we're so different, we're so advanced in what we're doing now that it's just wonderful. So George, we're going to switch it around here. This is George Reninger. Need a microphone, George? Here we go. I'm not sure how to turn it on. There we go.
There you go. Thank you. I got my mom here today, too.
Woohoo!
I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out, and I understand this is being broadcast as well. Okay, there's one camera. But just want to thank everyone for being with us today. I'm sure you all heard that this has been a horrible week for us, And so, what I felt to do is just to come up. And I brought Micah, my eldest son, as well. He's in the back. My big boy. What a gift, in times like this, it's the love that carries you, And so, for those that don't know, my wife, Katie, she passed away on Tuesday. So, and I just thought what I would do today is I just want to walk through a little bit of the providential history of this company. And I wanted to share about our new product. which my wife was mad at me when I wasn't going to do that. She introduced the idea, and I was like, I think we're just working on energy. We should be. And she was like, hey, this is my company too. I've invested my whole life, and we're going to do this. And I was like, I better call Rick, And fortunately, his wife, Carol, was sitting in the background, and she was like, I think this is a good idea. And before you knew it, we were working on things. So, boy. Yeah, thank you so
it's
much.
awesome, bro.
This industry can be pretty rough. It's a beautiful concept. Like you said, the numbers always work. It's the people that mess it up, right? And so, and that's true even, company ownership, company vision. Some things start good and then go bad, We've seen it, many of us have been through it. Many of us have been very, very hurt in this industry. And that's not to say that many of us haven't had wonderful moments in it as well, because it's one of those things, if you do it bad, it's really bad. But if you do it good, it's so beautiful and touches so many people. And so, I've been involved in this industry for many years. I was a systems engineer, Fortune 500 companies, the Federal Reserve Bank. And I was totally bored. Felt like if I was still doing this when I was 50, I would have wasted my life. And so I shifted, and I actually went into ministry. And so I worked with high school and college kids and faith-based and helping them find their purpose, which Bill has a wonderful training on finding your purpose. And we're just so grateful to have Bill as our lead IBO. And, that was a wonderful season of life, but I was making no money. I went from a really high paid job to really I don't know. I think I went from 80,000 a year to 18.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
Next
and you know what? But it was awesome,
You should be here.
Isn't that, head versus heart? Sometimes it's awesome.
Okay,
but there's no money. Awesome. Kind of, And I was looking for a place where you could put your heart and your head to work in the same place. And that's what led me to this industry. And I found something in this network marketing, micro business. I really call it micro business networking, because at the Federal Reserve, there's a whole segment of the economy called micro business. That's what each of us are. And we network those micro businesses together in our compensation plan. And it creates powerful compensation. And I'll tell you, it undergirds the entire economy. And it is awesome. And so this industry, can be beautiful. And I had my first experience with a company that emphasized the allo technology. Okay. Your microphone's on, just to let you know. It emphasized the Ace Mannin technology, which is one of our 5. I had a wonderful run there. Stay-at-home dad, was there with my son Micah. Matter of fact, he was my reason. Everybody has to have a why, right? And they used to say, if your why doesn't make you cry, keep looking. And I remember, I just didn't want to be one of these dads that was out with somebody else's wife because she's working with you at your workplace, taking care of somebody else's child because that's your market or whatever it is. I wanted to be with my family. And so this business made sense to me. And I can remember the first day I was sitting down. We weren't successful yet. I think we were making a few thousand a month. which, it was actually had replaced the income that I had as a minister, and I was still a minister. So it was hey, double money. This is good, And so now I was making money again. And I remember I sat with one of my business partners, and we were sponsored by Bill Greenman in that company. And so he had his 444, that's been a gift from God for him for years. And so I remember sitting with my buddy. We're sitting at a table and at his house, and our kids are running around dressed like cowboys and doing their thing while we're working. And I'm sitting there, and Micah just comes running up at me while I'm sitting there and just jumps in my arms. He's probably 4 years old or something. And he says, Dada, you my best friend. And you know what I said? That was the day I knew I was going to make this business work. Because my 4-year-old son, I wanted him, I wanted to be with him when he was 16 and he would still think that. You know what I mean? Because 16's tough, right? And I can tell you, I remember years later, walking through the mall. We had just moved back from New Zealand. I mean, this business will allow you to go live overseas. And I opened that market for that company. And I remember we had come back to the United States and, we'd lived there 2 years and, walking through the mall and, phones were now beginning to emerge, and people are on their phones and stuff. And I just remember he just left, which is good. And he reaches over while walking through the mall and he's like, 16 years old. And he grabs my hand and he's holding my hand. And I thought, you don't see that anymore. You know what I mean? Where a son who's 16 wants to hold his dad's hand in the mall. That doesn't happen. And I thought to myself, I won. I won. And that company went through a divorce. Ownership had fights. When the money shows up in big way, because that company was doing almost $500 million in sales at that point, all of a sudden the different natures come out, right? And we watched it. And you know what? We were right there. We were praying for that company. We were fasting. We were praying for, the right ownership and so forth. And in the end, I found another company that had glutathione technology. And I saw Ace Manning on the surface of the cell. Immune modulation, communication, powerful technology. But glutathione worked inside of the cell in a different way. It would repair and regenerate DNA. It's amazing. I call it a messianic molecule because it reminds me of what God does for the human soul. This little molecule does for the human cell. And it's just beautiful to me. And when I saw that technology, it was almost like the burning bush. I have to look and I have to go see what this is. You know what I mean? And I thought, I don't really want to leave the one for the other. But I needed to. And so I shifted companies. I actually sold that business. You can sell these businesses. If you do it right, you feel God wants you somewhere else, you can turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to sell this business. We had somebody do that in the last year or so. They sold this business because they were going to go retire. And they sold it. You can do that. If you die, you can leave it to somebody. It's there. How many of your jobs will do that for you? Oh, I'm sorry, you've died. Here, your spouse, come in, here's the paycheck. Well, this one does. And we're committed to that. Rick and I, we're not building, I love my mom, so this doesn't make sense, but I'd say we're not building your mom's network marketing company. We're building something different. We're building Camelot to the best of our ability. And you're here with us. We're building Zion. And I know that name means different things to different people, but all the best meanings is what we mean. So we're building that culture. We're building that company. And so I was with that other company and you know what I was able to do? Because I was a leader, and this is what I want you to see. You want to guide the company? Build a business. Build a good business. Build it with your heart, your soul. Make good relationships with the corporate, and take care of the other field around you, even if they're not your team. And we listen, we watch, just like a parent. Where you had the one child that would take care of the others. If they came to you and said, we need something, you'd be like, okay, whatever you need, we're going to figure that out, make it happen. That's what I was like in this company. I did that. Traveled the world. They used to joke they could drop me off in a plane anywhere in the world. I'd come out with an organization, And, it's true. I had a blast, and I built Malaysia and Hong Kong. And, we've had an amazing life in this industry, and it is a lot of fun. I've seen the world. I've been in 45 countries in my life, much of it in business. But, I had the opportunity to sit down with that ownership and say, we have to have Ace Manning. I got him on the phone with Reg McDaniel. You remember? David Bagley gets on the phone. Next thing you know, I had Ace Manning with glutathione, all precursor focus, because that was what they had. And we had that in their product, their flagship product. When you have a vision and you're willing to work in it and with it, you can change your world. That product was a reflection of what God had done in my life through people like Dr. Reg and Joe Woolsey. I've got a bunch of, how many of you were Ace Man and Company people once upon a time, right? Bunch of us were. We know. Well, that company ended up in a divorce as well. I'm just going to use that language because that's what happened. The owners fighting, trying to control, take over, and so forth. And during that time, when I was opening markets around the world, that's when I met Rick Nelson. Rick was the corporate VP for business development who was creating the blueprint for global expansion of that company. That's what he was hired for. And so I was just on the rise. I think I might have been a gold level, which around here would be like a regional team builder type of thing. And I met Rick. He was brought in to help straighten out Canada, all these things, and that's where I met him first. But we ended up opening New Zealand and Hong Kong and Australia and Singapore and, you know, all these different markets that we did together. So that's how I got to know Rick. And you know what? You will never meet a finer man than Rick Nelson. This morning, I'm sitting at the table with my brother, who's in town as well, and my mom. And I know I'm not around much. So I'm just going to give you my best right now of everything I've got, and then I'm going back into the world of funerals and planning. And, you know, but I'm going to bring Katie into this too, because when we went through that, I just want to say this. My mom and I are sitting there talking this morning. I said, yeah, you know, I saw Rick yesterday. I popped in for just a brief moment, and you know, we've been in the battles together, and my mom's like, I just love that man. I just love him. You know, my heart is drawn to him. And you know, you don't normally get that in the CEO role, right? You know, how many are like, oh, I love that CEO. My heart's just drawn to him. I'm just letting you know, we're different. We're different. Yes. Yes. Rick and I have moments where my heart is not drawn to him. We're in debate, and I'm waiting for Carol to hear in the background because I need help. You know what I mean? To make the point. But you know, so you know that's the company background. So I was a top leader in that company, built with Rick. We even worked, you know, Rick, I even hired Rick as a consultant one time to work with me as a top field leader when he was no longer with the company to help me manage my relationship with the company. And I want you to know this. The vendors for Provizion Global love us. I mean, they really love us. It's not because of me. I think like the field leader, you know. I think like you guys. He thinks like them. Just like you say, hey, George, we trust that you get us and you're going to, that's how the vendors feel about Rick. And the partnership between us brings that together in a unique way that I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's been done somewhere else, but not like this. You know, we're the love God, love neighbor company. I mean, if I had to say a culture, that's our culture. And it affects our comp plan. It affects our business principles. You know what? And we're going to win. We're going to win here. We're going to win in the marketplace. Why? Because love always wins. Always. Even if it gets, you know, they used to say, you can trample truth in the street, but it will rise again, because it always does. And that's what we believe. And we're looking for you. You that believe in that, this is your home. I mean, listen, there may be other good companies out there, and I'm sure there are, and you stay there and build. But the ones that felt like I never found that home, this is your home. You know, we love you. We will listen. And we will build something that hasn't been built before, something beautiful. And, you know, I married Katie in November of 2017. The Civil war was going on over at the company, and I was in the founders team. I was kind of his first knight, helping him with business plans and legal things and whatever it might be. And I married Katie on November 18th, 2017. So I had 5 years and 5 months that she was alive with me to the day. And so I married her, and on the 4th day of my honeymoon, they shut off my income. Just shut it off, because the Civil War had gone, the next level. The one group had gotten control, and of course I was right there with the founder, and so my income was just turned off one day. I was at my honeymoon, and Darlene McGregor is texting me and calling me, and I'm just ignoring her, because Darlene will text and call me anytime she thinks she needs something, And I'm like, I finally answer. I'm in a movie with my wife, and I'm like, Darlene, I'm on my honeymoon and in a movie. She's like, you got to check your email. And I'm like, what? Next thing I know, income's cut off. So my beautiful wife, widow, her late husband had just dropped dead of cardiac arrest few years earlier. They had adopted 2 children. And, and I was the knight in shining armor, strong earner, one of the top of the company. And all of a sudden I have no income. Anyway, we tried to make that work. I tried to settle with the company and figure it all out. It didn't. It was about to go into a legal battle. And I had a next door neighbor that's kind of a, I love her. I just call her a crazy intercessor, if that term means anything to you. But she she shows up in my house one day, and she is like, I'm coming down. I've got this business meeting with this one networking company to talk to them about how to take life insurance and turn it into a financial storehouse. And because this is what I did. You can borrow from your own policy, go build something, and as the income comes back, you pay it back. It's like a bank that you can borrow from. And I was showing them that, and if you were to lose a top leader as a company, that's a real loss, right? And so I had this whole plan. I'm going downstairs because this is what I'm doing while my lawyer is getting our case ready to do this. And my neighbor looks at me and she says, George, I have a word from the Lord for you. And I'm kind of like, okay. I've been around some of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's hear it. I'm not sure if it's God or not. You can tell me though, And she just said this. She said, the Lord woke me up at 3:00 and he told me to tell you this. If you will look forward and not look backward, you will recover everything that was stolen from you and much, much more, but only if you look forward and don't look back. And I was like, oh my gosh, that does sound like God, doesn't it? That sounds like, and I said to her, did my wife tell you we're in a lawsuit? I actually said, did my wife tell you we're in a lawsuit with that company that we used to work for? She said, no, and I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just telling you what God told me. Now I've told you. And I thought, oh man, that's tough. I get in my car, I drive to this meeting, and next thing I know, they're asking me if I would come back into this industry and help them. After I did my thing, I was just there to, set up a storehouse. I'd been asked to get back in the industry, and I was like, no way, are you kidding me? This is a tough industry. I traveled the world for years and built a solid multi-million a month volume business that I was ready to be a husband and a father to 2 children that had lost their dad, and it was just taken from me like that. I mean, so I just want you to know, I've had the bad story too, you know what I mean? From an industry standpoint, and here's Katie. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, George. It's no problem. I love you, I mean, it wasn't the same kind of honeymoon I thought it would be after day 4, but, so we ended up working with that company, and we had been in Africa significantly, and they asked me, is there any way you'd work with us? And I said, well, I had this crazy experience this morning. So looking forward, not looking back, what does that mean to you? Will I come? Like, what would it take for me to work with you? They sat with paper and pen and said, what would it take for you to be with us? And I was like, wow, that's like a dream come true type of thing. And I said, it would take 4 things. And I remember thinking, I don't even know what those 4 things are, but that's what was in my guts. But as I was talking, it was coming out, Number 1, looked like I had it all planned. Number 1, the business would belong to my wife. I'm in different industry. I want to be arm's length. Any income goes to her because she married me and I lost my income day 4. And she has been a trooper, Number 2, you got to go to Africa immediately. And they were like, Africa? I mean, we don't know anything about Africa. I mean, I thought you have networks all over the world. And it's true, I do. And I said, yeah, but why Africa? And I said, because in Nigeria alone, the average life expectancy is 52 years old. I think it's gone up. I think it's 53 now. 52 years old. And 52 is not enough. I'm 57. You know what I mean? And 52 means grandparents are not raising grandchildren. You understand? And we need that. I was a youth pastor. I worked with young people. When parents are in the disciplining the 16-year-old age and you have to be tough as nails, it's the grandparents that come in and love that kid and let them know it's all right. I raised your mom. She was a pain too. Blah, blah, blah. You know what it is. And 52 was not enough. That was what was in my spirit. And they looked at me and said, well, we don't know anything about Africa. And I said, well, we do. And I said, but number 3, you have to let me get with research and development. I know where the breakthroughs are in glutathione technology. Because it did. And I said, and here, if you go out and you Google glutathione space, centenarian is the fancy term for people that live over 100. Do you know what you find? All these NIH, National Institutes of Health studies that said all these centenarians have glutathione levels like a young person. And so what was the mission? Glutathione the planet. You know what I mean? We'll start with Africa. This is what I was saying to them. Because this is where it makes such a big impact. And it was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And the last thing was this. You got to give me a compensation plan that's within reach of people that are low income, not just high income. So you got to run it at half the PV. They said yes at the end of that little 4 things. And I thought, yikes, what did I just do to my life? And we went and we were doing this. We spent about 2 years. We did it, man. It was growing crazy. Darlene was actually my next call after that, and wonderful things. And then they fired the CEO and the VP that I had been working with because they were going in a different direction now. The owner decided he wanted to go a different way and everything. And I thought to myself, I appreciate that owner. It's his company. He can take it to where he wants. And it did actually inspire me. You know what? Maybe I need to be the owner. But I don't know. I actually, that's too much work, is what I thought. So we went, we did it, and so forth. And I will say this. Katie watched the whole thing. It was supportive through the whole thing. And, all of that stuff went through. And Rick, I actually tried to bring Rick with a whole investment team in to buy that company because he spoke Korean and the owner was Korean. And maybe this would be something to where I could take that company and go in the direction that we want to do. I even love the name of the company. Their products were wonderful. Got nothing bad to say about that. But 6 months, they had decided no, they didn't want to. He was going to keep it. Came from really powerful money in Korea and just decided this was what he and his wife wanted. And I respect that. About 5-6 months later, I get a text on a Sunday, and it's just Rick saying, hey, would you like to talk? And I'm thinking, okay, Rick's texting me. And we ended up talking to each other, and he was like, I have been thinking. He was out trying to buy a company. They had hundreds of millions of dollars to spend. I mean, I think we were one of the low companies because it was probably 80 million a year in sales or something. The big ones were in the 400 to 500 million, and he had big families behind him, trusting him to put together the management team for a company that they would own, and he would have a management role with a path to more and more ownership to it. And he just called me that one day, and he was like, you know what? I've looked at so many, and they all have all this baggage. What if we were to do our own, just you and me? You do the field emphasis, I do the corporate emphasis, and we could build something that's not been built maybe before. And this was February of 2020. There was this little thing going on in China that may or may not be a problem. I remember the pictures on the TV, somebody dropping in the streets, and it was like, I don't know what that's all about, but that's China, right? I mean, we love China, but it's a little crazy too. So it's like, whatever, And I said, I don't know, Rick. I just had that other company to where I had replaced the income that I had lost. And I had an ownership in the product technology that we created. So I get something from every sale. He's like, man, I'm doing pretty good, and I don't have any responsibility that I don't want, So I said, I don't know. I'd have to pray about it, Rick. And that was really me going, man, I really appreciate the overture. It's a compliment, right? I mean, it's a nice invitation. But I was like, I don't know. And I talked to Katie, and I was like, well, Rick's asking about this. And she's like, well, you need to pray about it then, And I'm like, I guess my prayer at that time was more of like, Lord, should I be doing this? Crickets, crickets, crickets. You know what? It's a good idea. It's not a God idea. And I didn't have the heart to say no, because I thought, well, maybe that is important. I'm watching all these changes take place in Africa and all the different cultural changes from the change of management in that other company. And I'm just thinking, not again. Not again. I don't have the heart for this, Just not sure. And then it was the end of March. And Katie was like, you need to figure out if this is God or not. And so she kind of kicked me out of the house. She's like, you go take a week, go away. And so I did. I actually went to a house on a lake. It was one of those tiny houses on a lake. And I took a whole week. And I said, if I don't get something clear, I'm not going to do this because it's too much work. And I know how vicious it can be, And actually, probably for the first 3-4 days, I didn't have anything. And I just thought, well, maybe it's not to be. And then by the end of the week, I had just been reading in my Bible. And for those that are into this kind of thing, and you don't have to be, we're all different. We all hear God differently. 2 Samuel chapter 5, I read through it, and God said, you missed it. I was like, you missed it. That was it. And I'm like, what? Going back, I'm reading it again. And now I'm hearing things in it. Because I needed to know that if we were going to do this, it's not me out there needing to ask God to bless whatever I'm doing. I wanted to do what he wanted done. And I'll be with you. I'll be your second. I'm much better as a second than as a first. Meaning, God, you guide, and I'll be your guy to get it done. And that little chapter is very unique. It's unique in this way. And I know I'm taking all kinds of liberties on your time and everything today, but this is what I felt I could do. This will be one of those special archives, But that chapter is very unique, and I'm just going to go down the track. Basically, David is recognized as king by the northern house of Israel. Up until that point, they were following the sons of Saul, and there was a schism in what would have been called Israel. Judah was very different and distinct. They had made David king. The others were like, heck no. And at this point in time, they come down and they say this: we recognize you are our flesh and blood. You led our armies out with Saul. You are our guy. We're together. And the first thing he does is he says, I want Jerusalem. And so they take Jerusalem, and it's a beautiful story, and the enemies come and they fall on him because they think, oh, these guys are getting strong, and they defeat him. And this is the key thing, is it says that David, captured Jerusalem, that is Zion, the city of David. I think that's exactly how it says. I'm trying to quote, depending on what version you're reading, right? And then it says this, it says that God said to David that he would be with him as the Lord Sabaoth, or the Lord, the commander of armies. And I read all through that the first time, like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting and so forth. And then it was like the Lord was saying, no, I'm zealous. Just like David was for Jerusalem, he's zealous for the people of this world. He's zealous. That means he's passionate about it. For their health, for their well-being. He wants the people blessed. And so the idea that it was Zion, the city of David, I just felt in my spirit, I got to have Zion in the name of the company. That's right. That's what's meant to, this is meant to be a Zion. A healthy one, not a political one, so I'm not going down that track, so don't throw us in that group. A place that's a city of refuge. I use the, the Camelot concept, is similar. It's the city that loves its people, and that's the heart of our God. And I felt like what he was saying is that he would be with me for war, because it is war. And do you know what? At that time, this was like March of 2020. And it was like the world was being besieged by that thing. So I don't make a medical claim, right? But I knew the power of glutathione, and I knew Ace Mannin and what it did. And I was sitting on the side watching it. And I thought, you know what? God wants to have a say. And sometimes it's the natural elements that he uses. Kind of like Lord of the Rings when the trees engage, it's like, wow, And so I called Katie. I'm like, well, I got it. I got something. She's like, have you told Rick yet? I said, no. Because I really feel something, and I know he's probably not going to be happy about this. But I texted Rick. Rick, I have got what I need. I am in. But Zion has to be in the name of the company. Well, Rick, he's my Utah brother, and Zion means something in his culture as well. And he was like, George, that's a very sacred name to use in a company name. Would you please go do your homework? And I did for like the next 5 days. So we were like, he was like, I really appreciate, Rick is so gentle, really, that's, but I think that name's just too sacred to, Well, I did doing my homework. I could see the position there. All I say is this, is that Enoch who walked with God and God took him, in that tribe's understanding, there was a city that went with him, and that city was called Zion. So that's not the first. Now, interestingly, and it in his camp and some of the writings there that I found, it said this. It said they called the city Zion because they were of one heart and one mind. They dwelt with each other in righteousness, and there was no poor among them. And I was like, man. So I said, well, Rick, I understand your version, and I just want you to know it can't be any more sacred than it is to us. I'm Messianic Jewish, and it's like Zion is Zion, right? City of David. I said, but what I've read there, that will be the culture of our company. And they called the city Zion because they were of one heart and one mind. They dwelt with each other in righteousness, and there was no poor among them. Isn't that beautiful? And I thought, man, that's the Camelot. That's the real Zion concept. And so I said, well, that's good. I'm in, but we need that name. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, man, I hope I don't have to do this without you, Rick, because I'm pretty committed to that name. And Rick will laugh because that is me, right? And I said, because I know who my partner is first, And actually, it's so funny because we're sitting there. I'm literally on GoDaddy.com while we're talking, And he's like, and ultimately we had a bunch of things, and I owned like 10 domains, And one of them, Rick was like, well, what about the word providence? And that was an awesome name. So I typed Providence Zion. And I thought, no, that doesn't sound good. But then I saw Zion, provision, and Rick was like, we could do that. We could do that. And so I said to Katie, well, I think Rick, and having a partner is a big deal. And just like you should feel about this company as a partner, I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of counseling just to say, should Rick and I be partners? How can two walk together unless they be agreed? And, we don't have the exact same faith, but we do. And I talked to my mom about it. I talked to my rabbi, I have a Messianic rabbi, about it. I talked to all these people, and it was just like God was confirming again and again and again. And provision was one of those confirmations. That name is awesome, is how I feel, And everything just came together. And so Katie was like, George, this is what God created you for, and I am all in, And I was like, honey, you have to understand, it will be 5 years of me being totally absorbed. What does that mean? How can we do it? Rick was like, yeah, George, you better talk with Katie and make sure this is, Rick has always watched over Katie and my kids. And so we love you for that. Matter of fact, there was a little time where we had this phrase in our house. Thanks, Rick Nelson. Matter of fact, that's a good phrase when your family doesn't understand or you're too busy and you can't make that. And you're like, it's what you should rather do something else. And you can say, thanks, Rick Nelson. So when we set it up, he's the CEO because he invited me. I was his first recruit. And we're 50-50 owners of the company, which makes it dynamic as well. We don't decide things until we can agree on things, which means it may take us a little longer on certain things. But when we make a decision, it's a very rounded out decision because Rick sees different than I do and me with him. And so those are always a little tough moments, like in a marriage. You know what I mean? It's kind of a business partnership marriage. But Katie was in, and we got going. We designed GSH as our first product. Everything was coming together. It's been hard and good. Some of the best things are hard, aren't they? And we went through this. And, last year we were rolling out energy, which is awesome. And Katie comes to me with a document. It's a study. Aloe, propolis, and tea tree oil in a study against erythromycin or something like that is the best thing for acne and damaged skin being restored and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what you doing, honey? What is this? He says, I feel we should do a product. I think we should do this product. Can we just do this? And I'm like, oh my God, we're trying to get energy out. Rick is like, maybe one product a year we'll think about, And so I'm just blowing her off. I'm just kind of like, oh no, that's a great idea, And I have a brief talk with Rick, and Rick's kind of like, yeah, I don't think this is the time for that with everything that's going on. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. And so I kind of let Katie know. And then she came into my office. And it was not just my warm, cuddly Katie. It was, have I invested everything of my life into this company as well? You're in trouble when it starts that way, right? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, so the fact that I feel in my spirit that this is meant to happen? Crickets, crickets, crickets. And I'm like, honey, it's just that and I give her the 5 reasons. She brings it right back down. Have I not invested everything of my life here? Am I not fully supportive? You know, any asset, the assets I've brought to this marriage are in this as well. Does this? And I was like, you know what? I get it, honey. I'll call Rick. We'll have a talk. So I'm like, Rick, we got to talk about this again. This is not little for Katie. This is a providential must happen for Katie. And fortunately, Carol's in the background listening as well, because Rick and I are in our practical business thing. And Carol's like, hey, I really like that idea. Let's work on that. And so this was a Carol and Katie project. And they're pulling together ingredients. They're talking to all of their friends. They're putting this foundation. And this was all last year. And it was like, there's got to be a right time to do this. I had no idea I was going to lose my wife. She's so awesome. I mean, honestly, if you knew Katie, you love Katie. I don't know if anybody could hate Katie unless they were like a demon, you know. But so we began to work on it, and we took that list. We gave it to Joe Wood and said, Joe, this is what the girls have put together to build. These are the Lego pieces. You know what I mean? What can we do? And so I know this is a very long intro to a new product, but so Joe took him and he began to put together something. And you know, Katie went from about 137 pounds of beauty to about 83 pounds in January. A little. You know, in the meantime, Joe, we were working on this thing to have it out for this event. She couldn't put it on because she just. And so Joe has been amazing. Joe Wood is amazing. He's brilliant. He's like a genius. But we have the base of what Katie brought us. Our 5 core ingredients are amazing for the skin. We didn't know that. But the girls found that out. They're going to all these websites and they're finding these molecules and write-ups, and they're like, man, this is the most expensive stuff you can find, and it's our stuff. And so, you know, the tea tree oil is amazing. It takes things down into the depths of the skin. It's, you know, it's kind of the best of our stories. You know, Bill was a leader in a tea tree oil company once upon a time. That was actually the first time I did anything with Bill. I became a customer. I didn't build in that company, but I bought these gold bars that were really expensive, but I knew he was making money and I was making money at that time, so it was all good, you know. You know, I remember they had some nice laundry detergent or something, but so our 5 core ingredients, the bio blend, those 3 ingredients that Katie had said, this is that. And then Joe has brought in these other ingredients, some of the ones Katie and Carol identified, but some really breakthrough trademarked things. We have nanoparticle sized it all in a liquid spray. And then we've put it into an emulsion that can take it all the way down under the epidermal. I'm not a skincare guy, just an FYI. I love these ingredients. And subdermal, that's the right word. They'll take it subdermal. And, you know, for today, anyways, you know, you know, we have Provizion Nano Mist because we haven't put out the name yet. But for today, everyone who's come, you have a sample. And I'm going to call it Katie Mist, M-I-S-S. Because I miss her so much. So for today, that'll be the name, okay? So Katie is missed. But it's also You know, it really renews, regenerates the elements of what it does for damaged skin tone balancing, moisturizing, softening, elasticity. It's all in there. It's like an overall, and it's a single, you know, you spray this on your face, you know, I guess they put 5 down there, 5 squirts. You know, I think there's enough to do like 8 squirts a day for a month. But it is awesome. Now, this is a prototype. Joe made me say, make it clear, it's a prototype. It's not the final product yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a scan code.
Yep.
And you can go do a survey over this next month and give us your feedback because we're listening, you know. And, but this is my little Katie mist today. And we present it to you.
You done?
I love you guys. I'm going back into family stuff. But thank you. And listen, everyone is invited. If you happen to be staying over, Saturday is a memorial service. We can have all the information available. And then, you know, I'm just going to share. You know, last week, Katie asked me, where would you bury me if I died? And I was like, well, that's a question just to pop out with, you know. And I had in mind where I would put her, and I kind of explained, and she was like, oh, good. I wouldn't know where I would be buried. And I thought, you know, we would want to be where we could drive by all the time. So it's near our house. Because you can remind Kylan to do his homework, you know. And so forth. And I do feel led to just tell you a little bit about this. So I'm going to close this out with this. But, you know, Katie had a very unique form of cancer that can go one of 2 ways. It's either something that the medical community can deal with and they can take care of it. And we started down the track in hope that that's what it was. But she just continued to decline. She couldn't keep her head up, so she would start to fall over. The tumor was moving in such a way that the doctor's appointment that we had Tuesday in the morning, and we've been in the ER the last 2 weekends just to help her breathe and get things back. And so we were in that doctor's appointment, and she had a list of questions that she would type out, and I would ask the doctor the questions, and she could hear the answers because she couldn't speak. She stopped being able to speak a few months ago. And so, and she was asking the question, how do you know when you can no longer breathe on your own? Because I'm concerned that I'm concerned about that. The second question was, the last 2 nights at a specific time at night, I've had this real knowledge, like impression, that my time is done. And then she said, I'm seeing double vision, and I can no longer type cohesively. And then she had another question about maybe having an oxygen tank. And the doctor turned around, and we love this doctor. He said, you know what, we're going to talk real straight right now. And he said, this is the second form of this cancer, and it's ruthless. He had written a letter that was something for our insurance people, but basically when you get this cancer, the person is dead within 12 months, almost all the time. There's very few exceptions. And so we had hoped it was the other one and had planned accordingly. He was switching gears with the chemo. When he saw her in the ER, he had said to her, and there was all these different factors, and he said, never mind any of those factors. It's this cancer. This cancer is going to kill you or we'll kill it, one of the two. So everything else that happens is just surface. It's a symptom of the one cause. And so, and he said, if we don't see progress here, want you to consider not continuing to be a pincushion for different ones that have their ideas of what it could be. Just be comfortable and be with your family. So that was Tuesday. We went downstairs and I said to her, man, that's tough. That's a tough thing for us to hear. And I said, I know this isn't what we signed up for. When we got married, I had money. She had children, and we were just going to have time. I would travel once a quarter as an IBO to my teams, and I would just be there with her. And this was what we were meant to have. That's what we wanted. So we signed up, But I just said to her, I said, I know this isn't what we signed up for, but I love you so much. You are so beautiful to me. And I was kissing on her head and her neck, and I know she always felt like, I got tumors on my neck, and it's like, I don't care. I love you. I actually got down on my knees, put my arms around her. It was the waiting room. There's probably 50 people in there. I don't care. I just, holding her little butt, she was so little, and I just was laying on her lap. She's rubbing my back, and she's drooling because that's what this had done. And I just said, I'm so thankful that you chose me to be your husband. I have loved every minute with you. And I said, if for some reason we don't get our miracle, because I'm still believing for a miracle, she was so cute. I want to throw this in, because when I said this is what we signed up for, she, without talking, she was like, me too. That's what I wanted and everything. And I said, but if God takes you home, which, by the way, God, I'm not in favor of that plan, I just want you to know I love you so much. You're so beautiful to me. I'm so grateful that you chose me. And we will be okay somehow. I don't know how, but we'll be okay. And then we went in, and they just gave her an IV for some fluids. They didn't have the 7 hours that it needed for this new thing. And I got her all situated and, and had all her meds. She was all set, sitting in her infusion chair. And I got the reminder, because we didn't even plan that doctor's appointment. We literally drove in and just showed up. And, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to do a Zoom call with Sid. Why not? And I'm like, hey, are you all right? Do you want me to stay with you? Oh, go. Go. So I went up and I'm doing that Zoom call. And in the middle of the call, the doctor's face shows up, because he's not his number. And they say, is this George, your wife? Mary Meldy was her official name, even though she's Katie Reninger, but legal name. But anyways, you need to get upstairs immediately and don't walk. So I, jumped out, making my way. I got to the elevator. The doctor was standing there. I'm like, Dr. Nadler. And he's like, you remember the talk we had this morning? He said, it's happening. I said, what do you mean? He said, she's coded. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm not a hospital talk guy, He said, well, they're with her right now. And I started to run, and he's like, no, come on, let's take the elevator. The elevator door had opened. We went up. There was a whole group. They were working on Katie. She was already gone. I was only gone for 20 minutes. I think she let me go so that she wouldn't have me watching her. She was so peaceful and regal and beautiful. And the doctor was right there, because he said, George, they'll make the next shift where they'll, cut a hole and keep her on machines. And you and I both know she doesn't want that. I said, no, she doesn't at all. She's a natural girl, She is right here as a provisional princess, And so we called it. They were so gracious. Everybody, I was so grateful to everybody. I got to sit. I prayed over her too. I asked God to do a miracle right there, only if he was going to heal everything. I don't want her back if she's going to be in pain, because she was in pain. And they were so gracious. I was able to ride in the ambulance with her. I kept praying and talking and praying over her. And then, when we finally got there, I talked to the EMTs, and they were like, she was gone when we got there. She passed, and we checked all of our machines, And he said, she really was pretty. I said, yeah, she looked like she was looking off to where she was going. And so then I had to shift gears because I had had my time for that moment anyways. And I had to go home and tell my kids. And Katie's mom, who had been taking care of her morning, noon, and night, making sure, because she was on a GI tube, that her food was correct. Because we had gotten her up to 90 pounds from 83. And so I let Rick know too, and they were like, just don't even think about this event. And, if you could come, great. If not, don't even think about it. We don't want you to feel you have to come. And I said, no, I need to come for Katie's missed, And it reminds me that we are on a rescue mission to the human race. That there is a life with glutathione and there's a life without it. When I met Katie 5 years ago, I did not have any idea that I would only have 5 years, but I savored every one of them. And I have 2 children now that are mine and going to raise them. And we're going to have Katie's spirit with us. And I will say this as well. Somebody had a dream about Katie, like David. So David's kind of a thing for us now, And Katie was picking these smooth stones up. David picked up smooth stones. He went into battle with Goliath and put one of those right square in his head, and he died and he chopped his head off. And I will tell you, my children are smooth stones. But in my heart, Provizion Global is a smooth stone. And it's Katie's and ours, and we're stewarding it. And we're going to put it square in the head of the Goliath enemy. And I hate cancer. I hate every disease that ever hurts humanity. And we know if we give the body what it needs, it will defend and repair itself. And so this passing of my wife, I see it as one of those martyrs that gives their life but rallies everyone to the battle. And that is what my position is from here forward. So thank you.
Great. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break, about 10 minutes. We're going to pass out the Katie's Mist, because everybody gets that with those QR codes. Those of you who are watching on live stream, we're back in about 10 minutes. Everybody take a break. If you need to use the restroom, please do that, but get back as soon as you can. Okay, welcome back, everyone. And what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the science. Obviously, we flipped our script a little bit. Those of you who are watching on live stream, you just roll with things when you're doing a live event. And George was spectacular. He took a lot more time than we had talked about. It was so good. Wasn't that great? Yeah, it was so good. And so now we're going to talk about the science. And to help me do that is Joe Woolsey. Now, Joe is our resident expert on all ingredients in our products. We want to talk about the 5 bio blend, the 5-part bio blend that is in everything that we've got, all 3 of our products. It's in all 3, and the profound effects that it has. So, Joe, take it away.
Thank you, Bill. So, boy, what a tough act to follow. So what I'm going to talk about today, quick and simple, is our bio blend. Guys, we need to remember when we talk to people about this, to talk about this bio blend and how it is a breakthrough, because it really is. And I agree with Bill, that term breakthrough is overused, but in this case, it is proper to use that term because this is a breakthrough. The bioavailable glutathione in our products is absolutely a breakthrough science. This is a breakthrough technology. And so I'm going to hit the bio blend right quick. First of all, we have cysteine or N-acetylcysteine, depending upon which product it is. And the difference is that in the nanotechnology, we don't have to go to the N-acetylcysteine because it's already highly, highly absorbable. But in the
Go ahead and line up.
Capsule, we use the acetylcysteine so it can be fully absorbed. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is our bioavailable L-glutathione, because this is the breakthrough technology. This is the thing that if you've heard the story of how this product came about and the company, you know that Rick got a message during prayer to get in touch with this guy, and the guy's like, I was just going to call you because I've got this product from this company that is a bioavailable glutathione. Are you interested? And that's what led to all of this happening. And so this is really providential, hence the name Provizion. And so it's very important that we keep that in mind. Next is the acetylglutathione. Now, this is the form of glutathione that's been around for a while, for a little over a decade, been available for people to take. But the problem is that these people who are taking it, they're thinking they're getting the full benefit of glutathione, and they are simply not getting that. And they really need to be instructed on how everything fits together. Next is the SOD. Superoxide dismutase is an enzyme-based antioxidant. It is unique among all antioxidants in that it works enzymatically. And because of this enzyme-based antioxidant, it is able to completely neutralize the superoxide radical. And that is so crucial, guys, because without the SOD to handle that superoxide radical and the ravages that it puts on our tissues, without it, the glutathione can't do everything it needs to do. And so that has to be part of the bio blend, and it is. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about our Ace Mannin / aloe vera powder. Guys, this is the force multiplier. It is literally what turns this product from a okay product into an amazing product. Because when you have Ace Mannin, everything you take with it, you absorb much greater. So let's say that you take a 500 milligram vitamin C. Well, you may only be absorbing 100 milligrams of it. But with Ace Mannin, you're going to be absorbing more like 400 or more milligrams of it. That's how much it improves everything else you put it with. And so when you add these 5 components together in a bio blend, they are amazing. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't equal 5. It equals 500, perhaps even 5,000. And so if you want to find out more, be on my Monday night product call, because today I don't have time, but on that call, I will take the time to drill deep into everything, and I will answer every question you may have. So whatever your question is, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Don't hold them to yourself. The only thing that I ask is that if you have a disease condition you want to ask me about, that's fine, but not on the Monday night call. Ask me that, text me, call me, email me, whatever. Anyway, I love you all. Back to you.
Thanks, Joe. Rick, come on. You don't have any mic. Okay.
Hey, everyone, I just want to,
It's on. It should be on.
can you hear me okay?
Okay. There you go.
Okay, how about now? Okay, we just want to take a moment. We've got one of our chief operating officers here that we want to say hello. His name is Jeff Fairfort, and he's been integral in everything since we put Provizion together back in 2020. Jeff, do you want to come up and say hello to the team?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me out. Sorry I had a little bit of operations work to do this morning, but we are so glad that you guys came out, urging the team out. It's been an exciting ride, lots of things going. I see we're in a bigger room and things are growing. We're really excited about the partnership and working with Liqueur and Provizion and all the global expansion you guys are working on, all the new products and projects that are in behind the scenes and in the works. We're just very excited about the partnership that you guys have been working on. We, even from the Liqueur standpoint, we are just building infrastructure to support you guys. We are constantly looking at where are the soft parts in the industry to make sure that your product is delivered on time and in a global network. So we're constantly adding to that global network. We've just added about 3 more warehouses globally, and we've just updated and upgraded our Utah manufacturing. U-Haul. So we're just super excited that you guys came out. Right. Sorry, I didn't get here earlier. I was meaning to catch more of the event and everything seems to be going great.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. Thanks for having me out.
Worth of, or 400 points worth of volume going through your downline through auto ships every month. So think about what I just said. It's just $400, 400 PV of auto ships in any given month. When you do that, you're a Club 400. Now, Club 400, what that means is your product's pretty much paid for. So I'm a big believer. The first thing I do, any network marketing company I've ever been a part of, what's the comp plan? What do I have to do to get my products for free? And that's the first thing that I do. And that's why we developed Club 400, and we want to recognize the people who are part of that. So you all come. First one is Denise Kuntz. Yeah, good job, good job. Rhonda Henderson. Good job. Steve and Patsy Dillard. This is great. Well, this is fun. And Joe McCrate. All right, Joe. Yeah. Debbie Bond. Good job, Deb. Yeah. And Joe Woolsey. All right, great guy. Now, if you're thinking while you're on live stream going, it looks like the same people are walking across the stage all the time. That's exactly what's happening. Because when leaders get involved in a company, they just do what leaders do. They win. And some people don't get in this and think, okay, I want to get this award, that recognition. They don't think that way, but it happens because they begin to lead and they begin to build. And if you'll begin to do that, same thing will happen for you. So we'll have a lot more of this still coming up. Okay, next we want to talk about regional team builders.
Next, we want to recognize those who have attained the rank of Regional Team Builder. This is the third rank reached in our business model and comes with a $100 bonus. A Regional Team Builder must, in any business week, sponsor at least one IBO on their left binary team and one on their right team, and has accumulated at least 3,000 in volume on their pay team and 4,000 in volume on their sponsor team. Our Regional Team Builders are...
Like we just did this a second ago, Denise Kuntz. Good job, yeah. And Rhonda Henderson. Pretty good. Yeah, Debbie Bond. Woo. Great job. Yeah, and Joe Woolsey. It's like we have this little game. We just go back, touch the wall, and then get back in line, right? So that's the beauty about this is you can recognize the same person again and again and again. Now we haven't even you notice we've got ranks, but then we have things like Club 400. We have things like the Diamond Packs, and tonight you're going to hear about some of the other things that we do, and we'll talk about the corporate awards, which are a lot of fun. Okay. And again, our schedule is so thrown off so much by that wonderful visit from George. So we want to have some testimonies. So you're going to watch your screen. These are testimonies of people who have had great results with the product. And I believe the first one is Tony White.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Tyler White from Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm excited to be here to share my story. In 2009, I had a very serious flu that caused my immune system to overreact and attacked my thyroid, and I lost who I was, a very highly successful, highly energetic person who accomplished many things in life, and it destroyed my energy, and many times I cried over losing her, cried over who I used to be. And so until GSH changed my life, I was never who I was before then. Many years I had, again, a very successful, high stress business. My first grandchild was born with at 1 pound 4 ounces. We had 75 days in the NICU. There was tons of stress with that. I had 2 year-long bouts of adrenal fatigue since 2009 until 6 months ago when I started utilizing GSH, and I'm telling you, I'm back. Within 2 days of taking the product, I began to return to who I was before that serious flu and who that was. And so it has completely changed my life in so many ways. I have energy where I'm 63 years old now. I have now sold my company in January. I thought I was going to do that just to have enough energy left to take care of and be a part of my soon to be 6 grandchildren. And so I was selling my company for that reason, so that the little bit of energy reserve that I had was for my grandchildren. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now I'm having thoughts of my future for the next 30 years, things that I want to do. Yes, I'll have tons of time with my grandchildren. Abigail and I danced for 45 minutes together the other evening only because of the energy I had from GSH. So many things I could say to you, but at this point, I just want to say thank you to Rick and to George and to Bill and to Mary, who is my sponsor, who brought this amazing product to me. I am so grateful. She calls it Hope in a Bottle, and it has completely brought hope to my life for my future. Thank you.
And about 2 weeks ago, a package came, and I looked at the package. I said to Rhonda, "What have we ordered?" And she said, "We haven't ordered it." She said, "It must be from that girl that you knew, Darlene." And we opened the package, and there it was. And it was 1:15 in the afternoon, or 2:15. in the afternoon when we came home, and we did a silly thing. We took the energy drink and 2 capsules of GSH, and we couldn't sleep that night. Darlene had suggested that we take the energy drink and the capsules and sit down for 5 minutes and see what happens. Now, guys, I tell you, I was 3 or 4 years ago, I thought I was dying. I had 18 months where I didn't know what was wrong with me. Nobody could diagnose it, but all my muscles are affected. So I can't smile properly. I can't talk. I'm talking to you now and I sound great, I'm sure, but this is not my normal voice. And there are lots of other symptoms too. And you get very depressed and it slows you down and so on. So, because I did think I was dying. So here I am. I did something about it. We go to the gym, we eat ketogenically, we're into intermittent fasting, and it's made a huge difference to my life and slowed me down. And I am pretty good compared to what I was before. But I have these symptoms. So we took the stuff in the afternoon, we drank the drink and swished it around my mouth. I followed the instructions, took the 2 capsules and sat down for 5 minutes. And after 3 minutes, I'm sitting in one chair and Rhonda's sitting over here. And after 3 minutes, I said to Rhonda, I thought I could feel something, And I said to Rhonda, can you feel anything? And she said, and I felt it. My voice had changed. Suddenly, I had my old voice back. And I smiled. And she said to me, my God, you're smiling. I could smile properly. It was absolutely amazing. And I looked about me. And I said to her, I think I really see things clearly. I couldn't explain it. So anyway, Rhonda looked at me and I looked at her and we couldn't believe how we felt. So we had a most amazing afternoon. And the next morning, it takes me 20 minutes to come around and we shower first thing. I was singing in the shower the next morning because I felt so good. I just was so much brighter. For the 24 hours after I took that product, I wasn't lost for a word once, and I haven't been since. It's quite amazing. So I could speak and I could smile and I was bright. And we buy benefits. We're people. We are human beings. We don't buy features. We buy benefits. And if I was buying this product tomorrow and I didn't know it, I would buy the benefit that you guys could tell me. It makes you feel 20 years younger. It's like stepping back in time. And that's what the product did for me. It stepped me back in time, folks.
Hello, I'm Mary Johns. I live in Franklin, Tennessee. What I want to tell you about, it's an issue that started when I was a single mom. And I had a chronic condition that had a lot of different nuances, but the thing that really was difficult for me was the skin issues. At one point I had 4 different skin issues at the same time, and the only way that I could get any relief was to take a long bath with peppermint oil in it, and that was every 2 hours around the clock. After I got over the majority of it, I was happy to just have sores in the back of my neck that oozed. That was nothing compared to what I'd been through. So I'd accepted that that was the way that I was going to live the rest of my life. And I got on GSH, never thinking about the skin stuff. And I was on it. It took a few months for me to see a change. And then I started noticing that the sores in the back of my neck were not oozing and they were clearing up. I used to make jokes, thank God he didn't have the oozing places on my face or something. At least they were in my hairline. And they started getting better and better and better. And I think it was about around 3 months, all of that stopped. I'm 67 years old, and one of the biggest things that I've seen change with GSH is my skin. Not only that, but across the board, my skin has improved, and it's been wonderful.
Hi, I'm Catherine Stewart. I am from New Zealand, now living in Texas, and I'm 58 years old. Never been in network marketing before until 5 months ago. while I still don't know really what I'm doing in the technical sense of this business, I had managed to earn $4,200. I have signed up 32 people, and I feel quite exhilarated by the fact that in doing this, I have expanded my ability to help people in the area of health, which is what I'm passionate about. So I would just like to express my gratitude for the repetitive help that comes with the Zoom calls each day about how to go about this, and the encouragement and help I have got from Dr. Bill Greenman, who really has believed in me. And so I am a grateful person to Provizion Global and to Yehovah, who brought this providentially into my life. I thank you very much.
Hello. I'm a chronic, multi-level try it girl. I've tried it over and over and over again, and I don't know why I keep trying it. I do. Maybe I should go to a 12-step program for it or something. I don't know. But I spend all this money, and then I make nothing. In one particular group, which I want to tell you, but I won't, I made $8. And I think that's the most I've ever made. So I have this like addiction to hope, that if I can do these things, then I'm going to make some money and I will get to be with my kiddos and do all the things. And so it never worked. And part of the reason it didn't work was because of me, because I turn into a weirdo when I try to sell anything. And instead of trying to help people, I would start selling. So for example, I was with some girlfriends around a table. We were having a few drinks, and I told them about glucosamine, and they said, "Oh yeah, for the joints." I was like, no, it's not that. It's something else. I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a G, and it's super good. Needless to say, nobody signed up. Other fun things I've done, we had some friends over for dinner, friends of my husband's, and the gentleman very much needed glutathione, and so we're talking to him about it, and then I say, and I will only make $5 a bottle from every bottle you buy, at which point the whole place went quiet. So the fact that I would make money, of all people, from I just get so awkward. I wasn't even looking at how much I was making, because I was just like, yeah, whatever. And I just kept doing this because I'm giving myself a period of time to try it. The investment was nothing compared to what I've invested before. So in about 7-month period, I went to my account to get it out and put it into my bank, and was over $2,000. That has never happened, ever, ever, ever in my life. And it was real. I mean, it's in my bank account, and I did not do anything special. In fact, I blew it most of the time, and I'm super grateful for Provizion and GSH and for what it's doing to help people, and then now it's even helping me financially. So I'm
Mary is a very good friend of mine. I got her into the business and got her on the product, and she is exactly what you saw right there. She is so much fun, so much fun. So I want to introduce Steve and Patsy Dillard. Last year, they won our IBO of the year. And I just wanted them to give a little testimony about the business side and what's happened to them over the last year that they can share about. There you guys. I like that. They both grabbed, he took it, right?
We may take it a little bit in a different direction, but
no, don't.
First of all, Patsy and I will be celebrating our 50th year
Louder.
Together.
Put it. Eat the mic. Eat the mic.
Oh,
no, it's on.
There
you go.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So what I would say is that anything we've been involved in, it's always been together. And we are a much stronger team as opposed to, I mean, and it doesn't mean that you can do it solo, you can, but we work together in just about everything. And when I graduated from Baylor with an accounting degree, I found out that wasn't my passion. I did something kind of similar to George. I was a systems analyst for an oil company and basically was a programmer and for a very large oil company. But Patsy's background, it's important to know a little bit of that.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I worked for Tenneco Oil Company for a few years while he was working for Superior Oil Company as a gas contract analyst. And I knew I did well, but I knew that that's not where my passion was. So I had an awesome opportunity to get involved with direct sales through Mary Kay Cosmetics. And that's where my career in network marketing began. And she taught me everything. She taught me how to believe in myself, how to stand on my own 2 feet and speak in front of 300 people. And so I really give her a lot of credit for that. But we're just so excited about Provizion, especially after George spoke today. I was just, I love this company. I am here to stay with Provizion. We are home. And Katie, we're going to do great things in your name. And
well, when I saw Patsy and what, how she grew and blossomed from that experience in direct sales, my career changed as well. I got involved in sales for technology for 30 years. And in 2010, that career ended 12 years with the largest computer company. But I didn't look back. It's important to know everybody's background. We have similar backgrounds, but different. And I started a construction company. I was the owner, president of the company, did projects all over the city of Houston, and found out that, there's a lot of things that owning a company, many people know. There's a lot of things that there are advantages and disadvantages. But by doing that, we had another individual, a friend that knew what we had been doing and had been successful in direct sales. And he approached us basically from a standpoint of an opportunity, not talking about the product and knowing that we were, business minded, but we had the opportunity to meet George, go to the manufacturing facility. And once we saw what we saw, I was expecting to see maybe a operation out of a garage, somewhat like Hewlett-Packard started that way. It was out of a garage. But what we saw was $1 billion infrastructure. And then knowing the heart of George and where it was going, the product to us didn't really matter. We knew we wanted to be a part of it. And we did join. And as a result, we are just looking forward to a bright future. Our teams are growing. And as a result of just networking, I look at it from a standpoint that every business is networking. Not any business is without networking. And we also look at it from a standpoint of leverage, just leveraging the ability to go beyond and have a micro business that can grow as we grow and as we grow with the company globally. But Patsy, I'll just turn it back to you and you can just close out.
yes, thank you. I've never been involved with a company where we actually went globally. I mean, I was with a company, but I never reached out and recruited in that area. I am so excited about going globally. I have been talking to so many Nigerian people that just have a heart for this product, and they're coming aboard and they're expanding, and I'm just so excited. It just sort of brings tears to my eyes because this was my dream always, without any of the network marketing companies that I was with, to really make a mark in the efforts that we put forth. So thank you so much for allowing us to share today.
All right. Great. Perfect. Man. Okay, just for myself, I have been involved in international work with ministry, with publishing company that I owned, with a couple of different network marketing companies. And I said this a few minutes ago, you know, it's really exciting to go to another country, but that's not my focus. My focus is on this country. Okay, because I know there's so many people here who need this product. And you've heard some of the stories today. And every person in here probably has a story. Every person watching on live stream who's been on the product, they have a story. And it doesn't matter where you are, the product's going to work. It doesn't matter, right? I have an office in Kenya. I've been there for 16 years, 17 years. And all of my team over there is getting involved in the company because they want to help their people. So when I first went to Kenya, the average age, listen to this, the average age of an adult was 39. Okay, 39 in the whole country. Okay, so now we have people that are living beyond that. We want to change that. I want it to be 99, not 39. Right? So those are things that are important, but I'm always about go from strength. Build where you are, where it's easiest for you to build, get strong, get powerful, then go from a position of strength to bring it to other people that may need it and may not have the resources you have. Now, that's just me, but I found it to work very, very well. So what we want to do now is, and this is our last recognition for the morning, this is all of our champion builders. So to reach champion, these are all double champion people, by the way. To reach a champion, you had to sign up a person on your right, a person on your left who bought a diamond pack, right? That made you a champion. To be a double champion, you had to have 2 on your left and 2 on your right. You also had to have purchased for either one of these. You had to have purchased a diamond pack yourself at some point before or during the same month as all those people came in with those diamond packs. So it's interesting. I mean, it's not super easy to get people to say, okay, I'm going to buy that much product. But this is one of the reasons for orientation we talked about before. When people have a vision and they have a reason, it's a lot easier for them to purchase a bigger pack and then say, okay, I need to move this product to get customers so I can continue to move product and get more customers so I can find those people who are going to help me get to my vision. But I'm going to find out what their vision is. And if I don't ever talk to them about the product and the company, it's never going to happen, right? So what these people have done to get people to come in 1 month to do 2 on the left, 2 on the right it's a lot of work. And they deserve the recognition. So here we go. So Deborah Bond. And as I said, it's all the same people. I love this. This is wonderful. Yeah. Denise Coons. I know. I know. It's great. Okay. Jennifer Robbins. Woo. Great job. Great job. Denise Rowe. Yeah, Denise. Yeah, we love it. Thank you. Yes, Candace McDaniel. Dr. Candace McDaniel. And Joe Woolsey. It does. Success leaves clues. That's absolutely right. Okay, obviously, today we had some things go a little bit differently. Those of you on the live stream, hopefully that's all gone okay for you. We had trouble with getting the live stream up until about 5 minutes before we were supposed to start, and then everything started working. So it's, you know, one of the things I love about live events is that it's a liquid playing field. Everything moves. You have to be ready for anything. And I'm telling you, in your business, it's the same way. How many of you have ever said you're going to have a meeting and 10 people say they're coming and nobody shows up? Yep, just about everybody. I'm sure a lot of hands were just raised on live stream too. Do you quit because that happens? No. You just go, okay, that was that. Now, here's the thing. Listen to this. I always liked it when people didn't show up because now they owe me. Now, when I say, hey, look, I know you missed that one. The next one's going to be here. You know, things happen. I don't ever berate them. Yeah, that will get you nowhere. Just be really nice. Thank them. Hey, I know things could happen. Next time, maybe give me a little heads up because we had some things prepared. But, you know, it's okay. So my next meeting is going to be, can you make that? How many times are going to say yes? Almost 100% of the time say, yeah, I'll be there. What if they don't show up there? Now they really owe me. They really owe me. right? And it's not about that they owe me. It's just that I know eventually, no matter how many times they say they're coming and they don't come, eventually they're going to come. Some of the strongest people I've gotten into my network marketing companies have been people who said no, 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 no. And then finally said, okay, this guy's never going to leave me alone. Let's go. They come in and go, oh my gosh, is this what you've been trying to tell me? Let me think. Yes. So, so guys, what you have to do is just be relentless. You saw all these people. It was the same people coming across the stage time after time after time with all these recognitions because they don't quit. They just keep going. And that's what this is all about. You just don't quit, you win. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to have a break for lunch. Some of you are going to take tours up to LaCour, where manufacturing, and then over to LaCour Logistics, which is where we're going to show you all about the shipping. And that is just as amazing as the manufacturing. And then we'll have some meetings this afternoon as well with leaders meeting with their teams here locally. Hopefully you can do that online as well. I know in some of the, it's getting really late in some places, and it's actually, some people are just waking up in other places. So we want to make sure that everybody has the time to do what they need to do this afternoon. So we'll be back here for the banquet at 6 o'clock. And then at 7 o'clock, we will live stream again for the corporate awards. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this. And we will see you tonight.